This is the OFN today as we recap Week 11, which actually is officially over tonight. Tampa Bay hosting the LA Rams in a key game in the NFC. I guess for seeding more than anything, because we found out yesterday with the Vikings losing to Dallas, we pretty much know which 7 teams are now going to get in to the NFC playoffs. How's everything going? Ryan Dunleavy.
Unless the season all gets screwed up and they decide they want to add 8 playoff teams.
Why not, right? Just throw them all in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Then we have a race. Then it's like Chicago, Minnesota. Heck, if you go 8, you might get a second NFC East team in there. So
I don't know about that. You have to go to 30 teams in order to get that far, or 28, whatever it is. Yeah, that's definitely something we'll be getting into later on. There were two huge overtime games on Sunday, both victorious AFC South teams. Who would have thought that? The Indianapolis Colts over Green Bay. We'll start with that one. And, you know, even though I think it was Lamar Jackson who said in the other game, I think the quote was that they wanted it more, something like that. This is actually what we talked about on Friday, because we don't normally do shows later in the week, but we had an opportunity to kind of also preview the games. And we touched up on, you know what, Green Bay, when it's all said and done, Indianapolis just needs it more. And they did. And I think that's what we got with Indianapolis Green Bay too, because they were down big time at halftime, 2 touchdowns. That's not easy to overcome at all, especially when you're taking on the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers. But they were able to come back, and they did just look like to me to be the hungrier, we have to have this game team. But it was a great game.
Yep, 2 huge turnovers by the Packers. Rare pick thrown by Rodgers, and a great play to pick it off by the DB there diving. And then obviously the fumble in overtime gave the Colts short field. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, one of those Packers receivers they just count on like nobody's to be their receivers. And he's made some plays this year, and a huge fumble there gave the Colts a short field. They kicked it. I've heard I didn't agree with you on Friday, and I don't know that I agree with you now that the Colts needed it more, because the Packers are fighting for the 1 seed, which is the only bye this year, so they had plenty to play for. Crazy stat, Greg. The Packers have only lost 4 games in the Aaron Rodgers era where they had 14-plus point leads in the game. Only 4, and 2 of those are against the Colts. And obviously the Packers and Colts only play once every 4 years. So not a lot of opportunities to do that, and they've come back from 2 14-point deficits on Rodgers. What does that mean? I don't know, but it's a cool stat.
Well, no, it is. Also, we had gone over this on my handicapping show I do with Mark Lawrence at Playbook.com. November is Aaron Rodgers, statistically speaking, his worst month of the season. Whatever weird, it just is. You take a look at all of his trends over all of the years, and every bad trend that goes against Aaron Rodgers happens in November. So that's over with now. Well, actually, one more game, and then it's over with for the Packers. But at least, they play the Bears next week, and yeah, I see what you're saying as far as it'd be great to get the 1 seed, no question. That's the only time where you can get the week off. Everybody else has to play. But we all know that the Packers are going to the playoffs. We weren't quite sure the Colts were. Now I think we're really pretty positive the Colts are going to the playoffs. And of course, the Packers are already going to end up winning this division anyway. But the question is, do they have what it takes they're only a game back of the Saints. They've beaten the Saints already, so they own the tiebreaker. I don't know. The Saints' schedule is pretty bad. I think they have 5 games against losing teams, 4 games against losing teams. I think that it might be hard to catch the Saints now, but the Packers are still going to be a dangerous team no matter what.
Yeah, but the Saints are playing without Breeze, so if you're going to catch them, obviously this is the time to catch them right now while they're playing with Taysom Hill. And I think it was a huge missed opportunity for the Packers. I thought that, and I'm not ready to say the Colts are going to make the playoffs, because even though you opened the show with saying we know the 7 teams in the NFC that are going to the playoffs, The AFC, I mean, the AFC has 8 teams. Somebody's going to get left out in the cold. There was one year where the Patriots, I think it was the Matt Castle year, they didn't make the playoffs. They were 11-5 and didn't make the playoffs. I don't think we'll see that.
That was the year the Jets won the division.
Yeah, you could have a 10-6 team for sure. 10-6 team that doesn't make the playoffs in the AFC.
I guess I'm just saying that because they were my pick to win the AFC.
Yeah,
so
you're a homer.
I'm a homer. I'm confident that they're going to get. But you're right. Statistically speaking, there's only one game separating 7 teams in the AFC playoff picture. You have 4 7-3 teams. You have 3 6-4 teams.
Yeah.
So it's definitely wide open. By the way, this is again an issue for the Packers. The Colts had 140 yards rushing in the game, but they last week we talked about them needing to get Hines the ball more. Taylor, the rookie, I thought he ran the ball more, I don't know, confidently. Looked like he was definitely more hungry. He was fighting for extra yards. And that was big. They ran the ball 37 times. Rivers threw the ball 36 times.
Wow.
But the Packers only rushed the ball 18 times, and Aaron Jones had just 41 yards. Packers have got to be a lot more balanced in their offense. Aaron Jones really needs to be a big part of that offense for them to succeed.
Absolutely. Totally agree. And I'm really impressed with what Rivers is doing on the other side of it. He's making, I don't know, he's making chicken salad out of not a lot of great playmakers around him. So I actually think it's probably one of Phillip Rivers' more impressive seasons of the last 6-7 years, to be honest with you.
Yes, especially like you said, because he doesn't have a lot of skill position players to choose from. The offensive line. Now, that was the one thing I wanted to do. I guess I just didn't have enough time to do it, and I want to find out. I don't know what sites are out there for me because I haven't looked at this before. Remember we talked about how there were a certain part of the media that their look on the lack of defense and all offense, points scored is the lack of penalties, the lack of big penalties, holding, and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And this Sunday, it wasn't just a Colt game, which had 9 holding calls in the game. 9 from one team. But I saw a lot of penalties when I was watching games this Sunday. I saw tons of 1st and 20s. It was almost like they said, okay, that's it. Enough of us not calling these holding calls. Now we're going to go back to being like we normally are, and we're going to tighten things up because there were a ton of flags on Sunday.
There is a website. I don't know that I'll be able to be skilled enough to look it up while I'm on the podcast with you. But there is a website, NFLpenalties.com.
Really?
Which is an excellent website. It breaks it down by offense, defense, by team, by week, by penalty, holding, personal fouls, etc. It is an excellent website. Shout out to whoever runs that website. It's excellent. So all your penalty information you want will be right there.
I'll check that out for sure. So again, a big win for the Colts. That was the one overtime win from the AFC South team. The other was Tennessee. And it was almost like Tennessee, they had their offense looked so bad the last few weeks, and you had to figure, well, maybe Taylor Lewan isn't that important to their running game, because the lack of running game has coincided with Taylor Lewan not being around. Well, that all changed. Derrick Henry against the Ravens, he had 133 yards rushing. It was his second best game of the season. Now, the other best game he had was that 212 performance against Houston, which, by the way, was also overtime. So he gets a little extra yards and so forth because of the overtime. But still, they wore down Baltimore late in that game, and Baltimore's offense did nothing for another week. This is just getting to a point now where there's no doubt that if the Ravens miss the playoffs, they'll be looking for a new offensive coordinator.
Yeah, but it's weird, right? Because they'll be looking for a new offensive coordinator, except this is the guy that's handpicked for this Lamar Jackson offense.
Yes.
This is, Greg Roman, right? Greg Roman,
yes.
I think.
Yep.
Yeah. He was the Colin Kaepernick.
That's right.
Off,
yep.
And I think Boomer Esiason, I think it was him out here in New York, said today. Remember when Roman and Kaepernick first got together, there was like a magic spark where I think that was the year they made a run to the NFC Championship game. There were maybe it was the Super Bowl. They had like a magic spark together that first year, and then second year was a little worse, third year was a little worse, and maybe that's what we're seeing here with Roman and Lamar Jackson is
Yeah.
that you know he's not adjusting to the adjustments being made to him.
Yep, that would make sense. And also, when the other thing though, and I don't want to pin it all on Roman, but he's definitely there's a lot to blame there, no question. Is he's kind of limited. Colin Kaepernick's not that great of a passer. It's the main reason he's not playing. And number two is Lamar Jackson is not a very good passer either. He's good. He is barely good. He's really good at those 10-yard, right down the middle of the field passes to his tight end. But everything else, you just don't know where the ball is going to go.
Correct. Yeah, he's just you were on it before the season started. I thought he was getting better as a passer. He's not. He's standing still as a passer, which is funny because Lamar Jackson never stands still, right? But no, he's leveled off, I think, as a passer right now, which is troubling because you don't know if you can win a Super Bowl if this is as good as he's going to be as a passer, as electric as he is as a runner, as good as the defense is. As well as that offense is tailored to him. In the NFL right now, if you can't throw the ball for, if you can't convert third and longs, if you can't play from behind, if you can't throw for 300-ish yards a game, or at least have the threat of that, you can't win in today's NFL.
And that's where you hit it, is coming from behind. All of his stats are just so bad when coming from behind. If he's trailing at the half, if he's trailing at the end of the first quarter, I don't know. It's just everything when you're trailing, not good for Lamar Jackson. I don't know. Maybe they've got to run their op. Maybe what they need is to bring in and draft go with a bigger back like a Henry. Have Dobbins, have a bigger back, and just try to run a power offense and just understand what you have with Lamar Jackson. He's not going to be this type of guy that you think he's going to be. So try to be more like the Tennessee offense where you're, okay, if you can hit a guy, play here or two, great, but you got to continue to build your defense. And I don't know, because you're stuck with him. They're going to be a winning team through most of his career, because he's still such a dangerous player with the ball in his hands, especially when they play bad teams. And there's a lot of bad teams in the NFL, which is what they seem to be able to do, is beat up on those bad teams. So they're going to win a lot of games. But, yeah, I mean, are you going to be able to win a Super Bowl with him? That's the question.
Yeah, that's the question. I like your idea, but I don't know that there's a lot of Derrick Henrys.
No, there's not.
So, you might have to go with and again, I always fall back on the Giants, like a Brandon Jacobs type big back, and that's fine, but that isn't a game changer the way Derrick Henry is.
No, you're right. They're very rare, and matter of fact, we've already talked about it. That Clemson, they're going to have their running back come out this year. I think he's almost as talented, if not just as talented as Barkley. He could go pretty high. He's not a Derrick Henry type of back though. And that's the problem. It's just real hard.
They're never going to pick high enough to get somebody.
And that's true too. I don't think those special guys are going to be available very late either.
No, all right, Etienne's a top 10 pick for the.
Absolutely, that's what I think. I mean, I think he's one of those special guys that should be in the top 10 without question. And for Tennessee, just a huge win, because now, I mean, things weren't going all that well, even though they were able to win a game here and a game there, but they were winning ugly. Now they get the big win because they beat a team that was fighting for their playoff spot as well. And so now I don't have as much confidence myself as in Tennessee as I do in Indy, because Tennessee's defense is still kind of but still another big win for Tennessee.
Yeah, absolutely. Tiebreakers come into effect there too, and I think we're just talking about how the AFC has too many good teams. So, every one of those tiebreakers matter. And the Titans now have one over the Ravens, and remember they beat them in the playoffs too. So
that's right.
That they kind of have set the blueprint for how to beat the Ravens. And the Ravens got off to this great start. I don't know what were they, Greg? I don't know, 4-0, 5-1, something like that. And they're looking at 6-5 because it's if any team other than the Titans gives Lamar Jackson a hard time, it's the Steelers, and that's who they got on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is that not only does Baltimore got to go to Pittsburgh, so they're in big trouble there, but also on the flip side, Tennessee now gets their rematch with the Colts on Sunday.
That's a great game.
So right there, you figure Indianapolis wins, they sweep the season series, they're going to wind up more than likely winning the division. Tennessee, all of a sudden, though, could get right back into it in a big way because they would have the lead over Indianapolis by a game. So a huge one in Indianapolis. Who do you like in that one?
I like
Monday.
Tennessee. I like Tennessee.
You do? So you think it'll be too hard for the Colts to sweep them?
I do, and I like Tennessee better. I just don't. The Colts are. I know you're very high on the Colts. The Colts to me are kind of a smoke and mirrors team. I know they just beat the Packers. I'm just not all in on the Colts. I think I'm much more in on the Titans. The defense concerns me, but I just like their formula for playing games, especially on offense.
All right. And just taking a look at both teams as far as their schedule is concerned, Indianapolis, they have, besides their, of course, I'm not going to count the matchup next week. The remaining 5 games, the Colts have 2 against winning teams. At Las Vegas, which would be a big one, both teams, and at Pittsburgh. For Tennessee, they've got Cleveland after Indianapolis, and then they get at Green Bay. So both teams only have 2 against winning teams, the other 3 against losing teams.
Correct. And they both have a game like one of those tiebreaker games that's going to help sort out the wild card picture. Indianapolis, Vegas, and Cleveland, Tennessee. So
now on Friday's show, we also talked about if Las Vegas, speaking of the Raiders, if they wanted to prove that they were a true playoff contender, they had to beat the Chiefs again, especially after you beat them once, and they're coming after you. They want revenge. They're the Super Bowl champions, even though they lost. That's not a bad loss.
No, I agree. I think they showed me something. They did. They showed me something. Absolutely. Even though they lost, it's not going to help them in the standings. They're not going away. They're going to be there week 16 and week 17.
And right now, they're in the playoffs. They're the 7th seed. So they have the lead tiebreaker with Baltimore and Miami, whatever it is. So and the team that's just ahead of them is Cleveland, and they've already beaten Cleveland. So it's now looking like maybe if Vegas. Now let's take a look at their schedule. Las Vegas, they have Atlanta, and then at the Jets, their next 2 games. So they better win those 2 games. They have 3 against winning teams. Actually, 2 against winning teams. The Colts and Miami. Both would be huge games.
Cleveland has an easy schedule coming up, too. They have, I know they have Jacksonville, the Jets, and the Giants along their last 3 games.
Yes, so those are 3 of, they got Jacksonville this week. Yep.
Yeah.
And then 2 of the last 3, like you said, Giants and Jets. And then and you know what? Ending your season against Pittsburgh might be a great thing if Pittsburgh has the number 1 seed wrapped up.
Great point. Yep, you could be getting all their backups and steal a win. Yep, they could be an 11-win Browns team. It's crazy.
But that's the thing with Cleveland. They had the win over Philadelphia. It was another ugly Cleveland win, but a win's a win. And this is the other thing we talked about. Baker Mayfield in 3 games without OBJ has thrown a total of 458 yards in 3 games. That's 152 a game, but he has not thrown a touchdown pass, and he has not thrown an interception in those 3 games. How about that?
It's winning football, but it's certainly not going to, excite your fan base. Certainly, I mean, you hope it keeps Baker happy that he's winning, but not putting up the stats. It's certainly not what you expect from the number 1 overall pick in a draft. But I think Cleveland fans are probably so starved for so long.
Oh, yeah.
They don't care that their quarterback looks average or whatnot, or that they're playing 1980s football. Who are their running backs? Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, and Ernest Biner? Is Ernest Biner still running?
Well, we just talked about Derrick Henry. There's another one, Nick Chubb. He's not Henry, but he ain't that far behind. I mean, Nick Chubb is the difference maker for the Browns.
Yeah, but Kareem Hunt, I mean, that's a great backfield combination.
Yep.
I mean, that Kareem Hunt jump touchdown from he took off from the foul line. I mean, the 4 yard line. I mean, that was an impressive. People forget how good he was. I mean, obviously,
Oh yeah,
the domestic violence incident that he had, or it was violence against a female. I can't remember if it was domestic violence, but the incident he had obviously changed his career, changed how people look at him. But as a football player, people forget how good he was. Imagine if he was still on the Chiefs.
yeah.
I mean, how good the Chiefs are scary.
He would have been unstoppable.
Yeah.
Vernon came up big without Myles Gaskin. Gaskin did not play in the game. He will not play against Jacksonville. With no Lane Johnson, Vernon had 3 sacks. That's probably the best game he's had since he's been with the Browns. See, the thing with the Browns, though, because and they've been doing this with this long homestand they've had. They've won every game's been in bad weather. It's been ugly. They've been able to win the game in the fourth quarter and take over. But, they're the team, though, that when they play Jacksonville, when they play the Giants, and even when they play the Jets, in all 3 of those games, I'm not sure that those games are not going down to the fourth quarter either.
Oh, I fully expect it to. Yeah, the Browns are not a team that you can book W's for just yet.
Yeah.
My survivor pool, we mention this every week now, right? I'm still alive in my survivor pool somehow. Week 12 might be the latest I've ever made it, and I'm looking at next week's schedule, and I'm like, am I really gonna pick the Browns? I've been in 20 survivor pools since 2000, and I don't think I pick against the Browns all the time. I don't think I've ever picked the Browns.
Oh,
and
okay.
Do that this week.
Well, it's not a bad time to try it. That's for sure. Jake Luton coming off a 4-interception game. And look, the situation now with Jacksonville, of course, it's all about that first pick, Jacksonville and the New York Jets. Jacksonville has the 1-game lead on the Jets. And with the next team at 3 wins, this is it. These are the 2 teams. So if the Jets win, Jacksonville's in the driver's seat.
Trevor Lawrence is going to one of those 2 places.
Yep, that's the way it looks. Houston, oh wow, putting a nail in the coffin of the Patriots. Just when the Patriots looked like they were turning the corner, and still offensively, Cam had 365 and a touchdown. But Houston, the worst run defensive team in the NFL, gives up 86 rushing yards against the Patriots.
Yeah.
That's one of those games that, to me, clearly, you can kind of even see it in the body language. It looked like the Patriots, there's a lot of young players on the team. You have a new quarterback, a new leader. I just get the feeling that the Patriots just played down to their competition in this one. I don't think they had a huge win against the Ravens on national TV. I think they thought that we were back. And, I mean, this is the first time Houston's won all season as an underdog.
Interesting. And you know what's interesting? There's people always talk about Belichick's former assistants and their record against him. And we always focus in on, the new age guys, right? The Patricias and, the
Joe.
Yeah, exactly. Flores, whatever. Don't forget Romeo Crennel spent a zillion years under Bill Belichick. I thought that was kind of an underplayed storyline last week. And, people have forgotten about Romeo Crennel. Has kind of lived in obscurity since he was a head coach, for the Chiefs and the Browns, in the early 2000s. But he obviously knows Belichick as well as anybody after all their years going back to, the Giants days in the 80s. And, he's odd that he was – or no surprise probably that he was the one who put the, as you said, the nail in the Patriots' coffin here for the playoff chase.
Yeah, the only good thing as far as the Patriots were concerned is the fact that you had several teams losing in the fight, but they're just kind of in the done area right now. They'd have to they pretty much have to win out.
Correct, I agree.
Meanwhile, Pittsburgh, as we mentioned with Luton and his 4 interceptions, they continue. They're still undefeated. Their schedule, though, too tough. They're not going to go undefeated. They're going to drop it. I don't know where. I don't think it's on Thursday, though. I mean, not the way Baltimore's playing right now.
No, I mean, you never know what's going to happen in that rivalry. That's one of those, rivalries you kind of just toss everything out, almost like, Seahawks 49ers or something like that. But no, I would agree with you. I think right now you have two teams headed in very opposite directions. The Ravens will always have the Steelers' attention, especially as long as Roethlisberger's there for sure. No, I would agree with you completely. I don't think the Steelers dropped this one, but I do think they dropped one along the way. You have their schedule handy, Greg? What's it look like?
Let me see if I have it here. No, I didn't write it down, but when I was going through it, I was like, "Wow, those are 3 or 4." I think they may play the Packers. I'm not sure, but they have. I think they may play the Bills. There's teams like that. As we mentioned, they're playing Cleveland, they're playing Baltimore, but there are a couple of games that they're
I have
playing.
it. I have it right here. Here we go. So where do the Steelers lose? They have the Ravens this week.
Win.
Neither of us thinks they lose. Washington in week
Okay,
13.
it's a
They're
win.
not losing that. Week 14 at the Bills. That's a
That could be a
very
loss. Yep.
yeah. The Bills will be desperate. That'll be a very possible loss. Week 15 at the Bengals. They're not losing that
No,
without Joe Burrow.
no.
Week 16 home against your Colts.
There you
That's
go. Colts.
possible,
Okay.
but it's home.
So
And
four tough games, and 3 late in the season tough games. Yeah.
Ravens a tough game. Bills a tough game. Colts a tough game.
And
Browns.
Cleveland, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I would say they're not going to win all four of those.
Now, what of course would be interesting if because the Patriots run into this situation, I think, when you have that 15-0, what do you
Yep.
do in the last game if you're already the number 1 seed, you're undefeated? Do you play your stuff? So that could be interesting. But I don't think we're even going to get there. I think the Colts or the Bills will upset them.
Yeah, the Bills is the game I'll circle on my calendar as that's probably their loss.
Okay. Also, Miami, a team that let one get away, and this is when they let get away. Denver was playing terrible. It's not like Drew Lock woke up and had a good game, but they ran over the Dolphins. That's the one big weakness for Miami this year is their run defense, and Denver ran all over them. I thought Brian Flores, who's one of the rising young coaches in the NFL, I thought he did a great job. Not many coaches would do this. He yanked Tua early fourth quarter. He goes to Fitzpatrick. And after that fumble at the 1-yard line, Fitzpatrick is marching his team down the field. And you figured 1st and 10 at the 11. Well, they're gonna march it in, aren't they? This is going to be a 99-yard. Ryan Fitzpatrick tied the game. What a stroke of genius. But they couldn't close the deal, and they let one get away.
And I thought what Flores did, 2 things that you didn't mention on this game I thought were interesting. One, Melvin Gordon is getting the touchdowns, but he's got a fumble. I mean, I think he has 4 fumbles.
Yeah,
this
he
year.
never used to fumble.
That's a very strange thing. And when you have a back as good as Philip Lindsay nipping at your heels, I wonder if they're going to flip-flop who the main dog is there, so to speak. So, yeah, that's something to keep an eye on, I think.
I wonder if it's the cold weather. I wonder if he went from L.A. to Denver and he
fumbled at the 1-yard line, or he would have had 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, speaking of Ernest Biner.
And yeah, seriously. And then that's 2 Ernest Biner
In Denver.
Today. That's I didn't have that in my notes.
No, that wasn't in the pregame.
And I'll say this: I've talked to Kurt Warner about this before. Eli Manning's rookie season, he played a terrible football game against Baltimore, and he got pulled. And Tom Coughlin put in Kurt Warner. And after the game, Kurt Warner went to Tom Coughlin and he said, before Tom Coughlin met the media, and he said, look, you have to go up there and tell them Eli's your quarterback. They're going to ask you a million questions. Does this mean Kurt's the guy now? Blah, blah, blah. Don't play wishy-washy. Don't ruin Eli's confidence. You made your decision 5 weeks ago that you were going to bench me for him. Tell him he's your starter. Yeah, I won't be hurt by it. He'll be boosted by it. Tell him this was just a 1-game thing. You went to me because Eli was struggling. And that's exactly what Brian Flores, fast forward 15 years, that's what Brian Flores did yesterday. Tua's my guy, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that's really important. That takes something from a Kurt Warner or a Ryan Fitzpatrick that's special to not be offended by that. And I think that's a brilliant coaching move because otherwise you'd have a week of, comparing Fitz. Is he the right guy for this playoff?
Sure.
And then Tua would have to hear, wow, the Dolphins really blew it picking him over Justin Herbert. They should have picked Justin Herbert. Nope, just go right back to your guy.
It's also good that they don't play in New York. But yeah, no, it's a great story, and it also shows you the type of guy Kurt Warner was, and really they could make a Hollywood movie, and they should, about Kurt Warner's career.
Yeah, yeah.
Because there's never been anything like it.
No, it's like the Rookie, the baseball movie, right? The Rookie with the guy from Tampa. Only the Rookie, whatever, he made a couple of, played a couple of seasons or whatnot. Kurt Warner made the Hall of Fame. So,
yeah,
it'd be like the Rookie, but if he won 4 Cy Youngs and went to the Hall of Fame.
Right. Speaking of Herbert, another 366, 3-touchdown game in their win over the Jets. Meanwhile, as we kind of move on over to the NFC, you had the Saints, because we kind of touched up on that already. Taysom Hill. Now, this is one of those games that's perfect game setup for Taysom Hill and Peyton, the way it worked out, because they were playing the Falcons. Julio Jones goes down. We've already talked on this show about the difference with Matt Ryan when Julio Jones is banged up and when Julio Jones is healthy. It's like night and day, and we saw that exactly take place here. As soon as Julio Jones got banged up, Matt Ryan couldn't do anything. 8 sacks for the Saints in the game, and Hill not only led the team in passing like you should as a quarterback, but he led the team in rushing with 51 and 2 touchdowns. So it worked out really well for his first start, and this is only going to hopefully make him a better quarterback. But when you step up in competition, they're going to need – I don't know how far you can go with this guy. Even if Drew Brees retires this year, I'm not so sure that you're going to really have to have a solid backup plan.
I agree. I don't know that he can be your full-time quarterback, but Taysom Hill's made a career of proving people like me wrong. So I didn't think he'd play good yesterday, and he played well yesterday. So but we're knocking, we're 10 minutes after we're knocking Lamar Jackson for not being able to throw the ball. Not being able to throw the ball, and how you can't win big if you can't throw the ball. Well, I mean, Taysom Hill's a worse thrower than Lamar Jackson. I saw a funny story. One of the outlets had it. He went over. He threw like a wounded duck pass. I think his first pass was it looked like a punt, and it was complete. And he went over to the sideline and he said to Sean Payton and maybe to Winston too on the sideline, "Well, that was the worst pass I've ever thrown," or something like that. And he just kind of owned it. And Payton's like, "Oh my God, that's the." Payton's a little nervous when he sees it. It's kind of settled everybody down by making a joke of his first pass. And yeah, I mean, look, we know that it's about this year for the Saints. Right, that's it.
Sure.
What they do next year with Hill or Winston or whatever, they'll probably take a step backwards. But for the Saints, it's all about this year. When do they get Drew Brees back, and do they get him his second Super Bowl that he needs? Because look, all what it is, he's been disrespected. He wasn't even among the 12 or whatever, 10 quarterbacks who were top 100 NFL players of all time. Drew Brees gets disrespected, and a second Super Bowl will help him, no matter how big a role he plays on it, the way that it helped Peyton Manning.
And what they need is to continue to play really good defense, because that is...
They crashed Matt Ryan yesterday. What, they have 6 sacks?
8.
Something like that? 8? Yeah.
Yes. So
maybe 6 in the first half, I think.
They ran for 168 total on the ground, which is what they have to do. See, it is a great point you were making too at Lamar Jackson. Similar quarterback situation. You have a New Orleans playing defense. That's what you have to do. That's what Baltimore has to do. But also, you have to run the ball. And that's what the Saints were able to do. Ravens not able to have as much success on the ground against the Titans. But, again, like I said, it was Atlanta. That's the difference. So you have to make sure that, but look, like you said, it's about Drew Brees. This isn't about Taysom Hill leading the team in 2020 to the Super Bowl. This is about, let's just hold the fort until Drew comes back. Mm-hmm. And they're supposed to do that because I believe, like I said, they have 4 losing teams left on their schedule.
Yep.
Dallas, we talked a little bit about that with Minnesota. We talked about a team that lost their chance. Miami, Patriots, Minnesota. Minnesota laid the egg. I mean, offensively, they were okay, but you can't give up 31 points to the Cowboys.
I said on the show on Friday, Greg, average, mediocre teams like the Vikings do not win 6 in a row. And you and I debated, were they going to lose to the Cowboys? Were they going to lose next week? They had won 3 in a row. They had 3 winnable games, including the Jaguars coming up.
Yeah.
And I said they're not winning 6 in a row. Mediocre teams don't go on 6-game winning streaks, and sure enough, the Cowboys took care of them. And now we have a fascinating NFC East. Three wins for all 4 teams in the NFC East, and the Eagles lead the way because of a tie. But they look like, I mean, I won't be surprised if they're in first place right now. I won't be surprised if the Eagles finish in last place in the NFC East.
Yeah, Washington with Dallas getting the win, an ugly win, just like, well, actually, Washington, that's all they can basically do is win ugly. Even though Alex Smith is a nice story behind center, they don't have much of a passing game, but the defense is strong. And of course, the big story was Joe Burrow going down. This is just, it's a sad, sad situation. It's a thing that just you hate to see. The NFL, it's all about the young quarterbacks or the old quarterbacks, the great quarterback play. Yep. And to go from Burrow to Finley is never good for the NFL. Look, this is what Cincinnati, they gambled. They basically said to themselves, we're going to take care of a lot of things on our team. Next season, we'll take care of our offensive line.
Yeah.
They waited too long.
They should know better after that. I mean, it's not the same front office or coaching staff, but ownership should know better after seeing how, Carson Palmer's career kind of took the wrong turn with his ACL injury. I think that was his second year. He played incredibly well. They beat the Steelers twice. They had a home playoff game, and then Carson Palmer's ACL, and he was never the same player. You can come back from an ACL, but I'm just saying in Bengals history that should stick out. Can I go back to the Cowboys side of that for a sec?
Oh yeah, we're not done with the East.
I want to go back to the East. Let me ask you a question that I asked my Twitter followers and a couple of my friends and other writers. Who is the most trustworthy quarterback in the NFC East right now? We always say quarterbacks win games, right? You got to win a game. Which of the 4 quarterbacks are you picking to win you a game?
Right now, today, for next week?
Correct.
Okay. If all things are even and I need my quarterback to win the game for me.
Correct.
Probably to win the game for me, I'm going to go with Andy Dalton.
Or to not lose the game for you.
Oh, to manage the game, and I have everything equal, and I don't want to lose the game, then I would say maybe Alex Smith.
And to win you the game?
I'd probably go with Dalton.
Okay. So the 2 backup journeyman guys, not the two franchise quarterbacks.
No, not this week. Now, I might change in a week if Carson Wentz wakes up, but yeah, the way Wentz is playing, he's been terrible.
If I'm only picking one of those quarterbacks to get me through the rest of this season, I have a division to win. I have 6 weeks to win it. I can only pick one of those 6 guys, and the rest of my team is even. The same other 52 guys. And I'm taking Alex Smith.
You are taking it, yeah. I don't blame you. I mean, the thing is,
does that mean Washington's going to win the division? I don't know. Their team's not that good.
No,
but I like him as the quarterback, the best of the 4 right now.
And here's the thing, Dalton still has all those great weapons around him. Alex Smith doesn't have anything. He's got McLaurin and Gibson.
And the Cowboys have the easiest schedule by far of the 4 teams. So.
Yeah, taking a look at the schedule. So we got the big Thursday night or Thursday, 4:30, Washington, Dallas. The winner of that game is in a good spot for a week at least. But yeah, take a look at that. Now, after that, they do have to play Baltimore.
Their only winning team left.
And that's it. You're right. And then they've got the 2 games at the end with the division teams. Washington is at Pittsburgh next week when Dallas is at Baltimore, but they still got Seattle. Philly has got a murderous situation, which we've kind of looked ahead. I mean, we talked about a few weeks ago. Seattle Monday night, at Green Bay, New Orleans, and at Arizona.
And the Giants' schedule is brutal, too. The Giants still have home for Cleveland, home for Arizona, at Seattle.
At Baltimore.
And at Baltimore, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, those are 4 brutal games.
Yep.
Yeah.
Giants and Eagles got the tough schedule, no question. And yeah, I probably let's see, who would I pick? I think you're right. It's kind of tough though, but I'd probably go with Dallas, easiest schedule.
Yeah.
Washington close by, but that is something else.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, so who would you pick? Who's your pick right now?
I mean, you could. My
This
pick
could change every week.
If it changes every week, my pick right now, I would say probably Dallas, just based on the schedule.
Oh boy, that's.
But
ugly.
I think Washington has the best quarterback play right now. I think Philadelphia has the tie, which is a huge advantage. I think Dallas has the softest schedule. And I think the team playing the best right now is the Giants.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yes.
But their schedule is very tough. I mean, they got a huge break that they don't have to face Burrow, so you don't ever want to put anything in the win column too soon.
Oh, that is so huge. Yeah, that is so huge.
They should beat the Bengals next week, and they'll have 4 wins, and the winner of Washington Dallas will have 4 wins. But then the Giants start their murderer's row, and they could lose 4 straight.
Yeah, if you look, and that could definitely happen. Cleveland is the winnable game that we kind of talked about before. But that's the thing, though, is that again, you could still win. Like if the Giants beat Cincinnati, let's say they steal the Cleveland game, and then they beat Dallas at the end of the season, they could still win the division.
6 wins will win the NFC East. It's a matter of if it's 6-10 or if it's 6-9-1 for the Eagles.
And I think what you just said about the Giants playing the best, I think it is the most clear thing about this debate in this division that the Giants are playing the best. I don't even think it's close. I think the Giants right now.
Of all the wins that the division has, which isn't many, it's 12 wins, right? So of all the wins, the best win that the division has is the Cowboys beating the Vikings yesterday.
Wow. Okay. Well, someone may have to do a little bit better than that. You know what? The Dallas-Washington winner probably in the driver's seat because of the schedule.
Probably.
The spread's, I think, like 2.5. Who do you like on Thursday?
Probably Dallas, because I think Smith is the slightly better quarterback than Dalton, but Dallas has a much better team than Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's going to be tricky. Yeah,
Dallas, it's all mental and it's all effort and it's all intangible things. They have the best team. It's just, do they show up? Right? That's what it always is with Dallas.
That's going to be tricky. That's a tough one.
Show up on Thanksgiving in their building. So
that's going to be a good one. That's as strange as it may appear. It's going to be a good one. And of course, this is the rivalry too, and it is going to be something. If Alex Smith could pull that win out, what a story that's going to be on Thanksgiving. It's only still a long way to go. Carolina beat Detroit, which definitely put the nail in Matt Patricia. That is the one that is so easy. It's over. How do you get shut out against the Panthers with P.J. Walker at quarterback when you're still fighting for a playoff spot?
Yeah, I mean, because that's what the Lions are. That's exactly who the Lions are. They fail you whenever the game matters. So.
And you know what? Bridgewater, they say he was close to getting back in that, to play. So more than likely he'll play this week. I'm looking forward to it. Teddy Bridgewater returning to Minnesota.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. I didn't realize that was their next game. No, it's an interesting storyline for sure.
Really put Minnesota to bed. That's what Carolina's going to do.
Is Teddy Bridgewater any worse than Kirk Cousins?
I'd rather have Bridgewater.
Yeah, 6 years later, they're paying somebody like $100 million their quarterback. I'm not sure he's any better than. I probably would rather have Cousins, but it's close.
Seattle, we talked a little bit about it last Friday, obviously, because of the Thursday night game. Seattle beat Arizona, so that was a big win for Seattle. As far as the NFC playoff picture is concerned, you have now Seattle, the 2 seed in the NFC. It just shows you they can go from being on the outside of the playoffs to being the 2 seed with 1 win. They're a game behind New Orleans. I don't think those 2 teams play each other the rest of the season, so no head-to-head tiebreaker there. Arizona, though, sitting as the 7th seed at 6-4, but they don't have anything to worry about, even though the Bears are a game behind them. We know the Bears are not catching Arizona.
Correct. Yeah.
And a huge game tonight, Tampa Bay and the Rams. Who do you like in a game?
Tampa Bay. Close. What's the spread?
It's like 3.5.
For Tampa, right?
Yes.
I'd pick Tampa to win and probably the Rams to cover. That's probably what I would do.
Okay. And so, yeah. So, again, as we close out the playoff picture there, that's pretty much really the excitement in the NFC is going to be the NFC East. That's going to be the story to watch, besides who's going to get the week off and when is Drew Brees going to come back. And then in the AFC, Pittsburgh, can they stay undefeated? Can Kansas City catch Pittsburgh? Will Buffalo, looks like Buffalo is going to win the division for the first time in I don't know how long. How long is it?
Oh, gosh. Probably the mid-90s, right? 95, maybe? 95?
Okay. All right. And then, of course, it's going to be a fun race in the AFC with 7 teams. Really, Buffalo with 6 teams. Indy, Tennessee, Cleveland, Vegas, Baltimore, and Miami. So we'll follow that as well. Thanksgiving. Unfortunately, we have to see Detroit with nobody in the stands. So that's going to be thrilling theater on Thursday to watch there. Houston should be a good pick. They're a 2.5-point favorite in that game.
95 is the last time the Bills won. I just checked. Yep, 95.
05-15. Okay.
Jim Kelly. Yep.
And then the Washington game and the Baltimore pick. All 3 lines are 3.5, between 3.5 and 2.5.
Yep.
And that's not bad to only have to give up 3 points with an undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers team at home.
No, it's funny how it always works out that the night game is the best of those.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Well, that's because the Dallas and Detroit have screwed it up. Yeah. They, like, even when Dallas was good, they put all these, like, bad teams against them.
It's always, you're right. It's always like Washington. It was the Jets one year. It was,
so are the Jets going to, who are they playing this week? Oh, Miami. Are the Jets going to win this week?
No. Who
are they going to beat? They have Cleveland. They got Las Vegas.
I think that was their last shot unless the Patriots tank week 17. I think that was their last
shot. See, this is perfect for Jet fans because we get to see some of the young kids, even a Perryman play well, and it's like, oh, good.
Mims looked really good.
Mims looks excellent. So you're getting to see, hey, the future's not bad. You got Becton, you got Quinnen Williams, you got this, you got that. And now can we just get Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah.
It's almost like too good to be true, so I'm still not at the point yet where I'm getting I don't even have a percentage of hope yet on Trevor Lawrence. That hasn't come yet.
Yeah.
Because I get the feeling they're going to win a game, Jacksonville won't win, and then there you go, it's all over.
And I'm still not sure that Trevor Lawrence isn't the kind of kid who would force his way out of town. I don't think he's going to stay in school. But I'm not sure he won't pull an Eli Manning and just say, I ain't playing.
Yeah, but I mean, where are you going to go? Oh, I'm going to go to Cincinnati. I'm going to go to Jacksonville?
No, I'm going to go wherever you trade me. You're going to pick me. You're not. I'm not. The Jets aren't going to pass on Trevor.
No, I don't see that happening.
I do. I kind of do.
Where have you seen this in his attitude that says, I'm going to go where I want to go?
Where do you see that in Eli Manning's attitude before or after? If you watch 20 years of Eli Manning, that's not him at all. He couldn't be less like that.
But I mean, but at least Eli went to New York. Who wants to not go to New York?
I mean, somebody who's from the South, who's laid back, who's, if I'm just going to make this up. Let's say who has a top, who else stinks? Who has like a top 6? Let's say Atlanta wants to move on from Matt Ryan.
Uh-huh.
They're going to have the 5th pick.
Okay.
Something like that. He says, I want to go to Atlanta. Atlanta offers the Jets 2 firsts and 2 seconds to move up from 5 to 1. Jets might have to do that.
They would have to do it if they have to do it.
Yeah.
But they would not do it unless they have to do it.
No, of course. But if he says they ain't playing there, I want to play in Atlanta, and Atlanta makes you a real offer, and you might have to do it. So
yeah.
I think that's much more likely than him staying in school or the Jets passing him on to Jacksonville. I could see a team in the top 5 he wants to play for. And obviously that scenario is totally made up that I just gave you. They have Matt Ryan. I don't know that they're willing to move on from Matt Ryan yet, but,
if you can get Trevor Lawrence, you are.
Yeah. So
if Trevor Lawrence comes out and goes, I want to go to Atlanta, you are moving on from Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
especially they're going to have a new general manager there and everything. You know what? We'll find out soon enough anyway. Like I said, I haven't even gotten a percentage of hope yet because I still think the Jets are going to end up screwing this up somehow. They'll win a game, and then that's it. And then as soon as Jacksonville has control, it's all over.
Yep, agreed.
So, all right, Ryan, appreciate it as always. We'll get back on track as we recap Week 12 next week. Have a happy Thanksgiving in your new home.
Thank you.
So I hope the new oven and everything else, I hope that works out for you. Having dinner at home?
No, we're going to my mom's.
Okay. All right.
We'll make a pie or something and bring it over.
You ruined that story. All right, Ryan, thanks a lot. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll talk to you next week.
See you, Greg.